Bacon Shooter here. I'm back, and this would be my 100th video, by the way. I wanted to kind of celebrate that by talking about something that I found a little confusing at first when I first started doing it, and that is traveling with a handgun, traveling with a gun. And it really actually isn't. It's actually pretty simple, and you may actually already have some of the things you need for this. And of course, let me start off by saying I'm not a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice at all. What I'm telling you is my experiences with this, and I'm also telling you don't just research what TSA says. Research what TSA says, research what the airline you're traveling says, not just a general airline, and research where you're traveling to. If you're traveling to multiple states that you're going to, or cities that you're staying in, you need to make sure you're traveling with something that is legal in that state. And I will get to that in a minute. But make sure you do your research. You are liable for your decisions. Anyway, on from there. So, TSA says that you can travel with a gun if you check your bag or check it in your bag. It must be unloaded in a hard-sided case that is locked and not accessible while it's locked. In other words, it has to be closed and locked shut to the point where it can't be opened partially and the handgun retrieved. So understand that. Now, if you're traveling with a rifle, it has to be closed and locked in multiple places so it cannot be opened and that rifle can be retrieved. TSA says you can travel with a case specifically designed for handguns that is lockable, and it does not have to be in your suitcase. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different. Airlines require you to travel in their method, so it gets a little bit different for each airline. All of them require that you declare it. So I will give you my experience. Make sure if you are traveling, that you're reading what the airline you're traveling on's requirements are. As far as the airlines, the ones that I've experienced, you have to check your bag. I usually have a carry-on bag that I carry some of my medications and stuff in, but you can't carry on a gun. You have to check it under the plane. So what you do is you walk up to the counter, you tell them you have to declare something in your bag, and they usually understand that to be a firearm. Now, you can tell them, I have a firearm to declare. That's either way. Don't just walk up and say, I have a gun. That's usually going to make people nervous. Start off with, I have to declare a firearm. Let them know you have it. Make sure that before you start any of this, though, you've packed it correctly. So, best thing to do, and these are the ones that my experience are, I use the same case each time. And this case is just a standard, hard-sided, padded case. In fact, this is the hard case that my Thesis came in, my 45 Auto came in. It's a hard plastic case with just regular foam rubber padding on the inside. And what I do is I put a paper on the outside with my name, that it's an unloaded firearm, my name, and my phone number so they can contact me. So if they are seeing a firearm in here and they're concerned, they can call me. I can come and unlock it so they're not cutting everything off. So, inside, so once I have the firearm unloaded, and some airlines require that you have the magazine out of the gun, some don't care, and the ammo cannot be in the magazine. It has to be in a case specifically designed for holding ammunition. It can't be loose ammo. So what I normally do is I have my pocket pistol, my TCP, and I put that in here with the magazine on the side, and I have a ammo box that I got from Cabela's, and I put my ammo in that, and that sits here, and that'll sit here in the box. If you look on this camera, you'll see here. Then what I do is I make sure everything is secure in there, and I close up the hard case and make sure it's closed down tight. I then have my 3 different locks that I use. This is a rifle chain lock. This is just a standard master type lock that I got with my Marlin. And then this is a actual small baggage master lock. So what I do is I pick one of these holes right here to string the Marlin lock, this one, through, and that faces upward like this. So it's accessible, but you can't move this lock around. The chain lock goes through the other hole here, through the bottom of my bag, and then locks. So this lock is also facing up. So it's accessible, but you can't move it around. This is now locked to the bottom of my suitcase. And then I use the small lock here to lock the outside of the suitcase closed. This is a very secure way of doing it. You can't easily remove it. If they do need to see it, they do need to contact me. It's very difficult to get something in there to cut it. Obviously, if they wanted to cut this plastic box open, they could, but this is approved by TSA. This will work. You can get something like this for $5 to $10 at Cabela's or even at Walmart. You can order them online. They're very inexpensive. Most anybody that owns more than one gun has at least one of these. And this is actually quite important for this process. Locks, pretty inexpensive. This one I got free with, I believe this one came with my Phoenix Arms pistol. This one came with the Marlin 22 and a lock. And a bracket that goes down through it. And this one was in a set of 4 that I had bought years ago. I think it was $5 for all 4. And then I just keep those keys on me, and these lock it down. So that's how I lock it in my suitcase. And then I pack my suitcase around it, and if I need to, I can just move some small items off the top so if they need to inspect it. So you're at the counter checking in, and pulling off this cover here. So this is me, obviously, and this is the label that I put on the front of it, letting everybody know it's an unloaded firearm. For assistance, call me, my name, and my phone number. So I have that facing up when I check in at the counter. That's facing up inside the bag. The bag is locked closed. I declare that I have a firearm to check, and then they ask, some airlines will ask to see it. You are almost always asked to open it because you have a firearms declaration tag from almost every single firearm that you have to sign. So you fill out this tag, and I'm going to cover up my personal information. So you cover up this tag, and the tag is basically, like I said, a firearms declaration tag. You fill out the front, and then they have you read and sign the back. The sign is basically saying you're signing, basically saying that you're not traveling with a loaded firearm, that you understand all the rules and regulations, and that you understand that they have the right to look. Then they take this, and with your information, they tape it to the front of the box, and they usually tape it over my tag. So I've got packing tape holding this down. I can easily pull off the tape that they have later on if I need to, but they pull this off, or they tape this down to the front of the box, and then most airlines, not all, but most airlines will walk you to TSA, and this is all depending on the airline and the airport that you're flying out of. They'll walk you to a TSA check area, not the one that you go through to get to the gates, but a baggage area. And they either inspect, or they x-ray, or you talk to them. And from there, you're on your way to go. Now, there are a lot of people that will show up with that firearm loaded and lock it up, not understanding that's illegal. You cannot bring a loaded firearm into a secure area in an airport. Once you walk into that TSA area, that's illegal. You can't do that. Make sure that firearm is unloaded before you lock it in here. I've spoken to several TSA agents, and they've all stated the same thing. It is illegal. I don't know what level of offense it is, but it's not good. So make sure it's unloaded, locked in a hard-sided case. Make sure it's locked so you can't get into it. I make sure it's locked down inside my bag so this box can't be removed. Make sure your case is locked, your suitcase is locked. If they need to get in, make sure it's a cheap lock. They can just cut that lock, or they can call you. The other thing, declare it. Make sure you let them know that you have that firearm in the bag. You do not want that to be a surprise. Once they check it, go on your flight. When you get to the other side, make sure that you follow all the laws in that state with that firearm. If it's legal for you to carry it there, like I go to Arizona. Arizona, there is no carry requirements currently in Arizona. So I can carry there. I can go to the restroom in a non-secure area and put my firearm back on me if I choose. Some states, there is a law against that. You cannot do that unless, like California, anywhere in California, you can't do that. There are requirements for capacity. Make sure your gun is legal in that state for capacity. There are waivers for people that live there who own these magazines. However, most of these states require that it cannot be loaded with that much or has to have a stopper in it. So make sure you understand and know the laws in the state you're going to, and make sure you know and follow the requirements for that state. That's a big deal. So once you arrive at the airport that you're arriving at, all of them handle it a little bit different. When I fly into Arizona, I have to pick up my bag at the oversized baggage claim, and that is with American Airlines. I've flown into Detroit, and they just kind of throw it up on the turnstile unless it's obviously a gun. It really depends on the airline and the where you're flying into. Almost always they handle the uptake of the firearm when you're checking your bag. Almost always they handle that about the same. There are a few different requirements. Sometimes they look, sometimes they don't. TSA, sometimes they look, sometimes they scan it. They almost always wipe it down to make sure you don't have any bombs in there as well. Things like that. But it's really not that difficult. If you're checking your bag, it's going to take you an extra half hour to 40 minutes anyway. So make sure you arrive early, you're prepared, you have everything set up, and just relax and enjoy your trip. You don't have to worry about doing this. It's not illegal to do it. It can actually, it's something that's afforded to you, and the airlines and TSA understand that it's perfectly legal. Now, there have been stories of people going to New York, and when they're coming back, they declare their firearm, and it's illegal to have that firearm there, or they've done something, or they're carrying something that's illegal. Always check your laws. Make sure you check TSA. Make sure you check with the airline and with the local laws where you're traveling to. It is legal to do this. Go ahead and make sure that you do your research always before you start. And this is Pagan Shooter. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.